everybody, it's Lauren here.
And I'm Kyle.
And we are the coaches at Team, did you forget your name? And we are the coaches at Team Cosmic Bodies. And today we are going to be talking about warm-ups and specifically warming up for your lower body here. Yeah, warm-up is super important because it's going to help prevent injury. And when I was younger, I remember I would just get into the gym right away. I didn't even warm up. I would just get in there all of a sudden and start getting into my main lifts and everything. And that's probably why I have shoulder impingements today, because I just jumped right into the shoulder press right away and I didn't warm up or anything.
Yeah, I mean, just the basics behind it would be, like she said, it's going to help you prevent injury, and then it's going to help you optimize your performance. There is such thing as doing too much in your warm-up or in your warm-up sets, and also maybe doing little or none at all. So you want to find that sweet spot. I guess the basics between any warm-up would be you want to raise your core, your body temperature, and then obviously get blood to the muscle, right? You don't want to just be cold and then go in there and start lifting and pull something or tear something or whatever may happen. Core temperature needs to be risen.
Yeah, whether that's just if you're going to work legs, going on the treadmill and walking for 5 to 10 minutes, or if you're going to go work upper body, maybe getting on that row machine and warming up that way. But in general, everybody's warm-up can be in between 5 minutes, or if you are someone that really needs to warm up, I mean, you could be in there for 20 minutes doing your warm-up too.
Yeah, I mean, there's people who
have injuries.
If you have a lot of injuries, or if you're older, or if you're more advanced, your warm-up might look a lot different. It might be up to 30 minutes. It just depends on what's going on with you right now.
And that's why a warm-up, there isn't one way to do the warm-up. At the end of the day, it is a preference thing on if you have injuries, or what gets you warmed up where you feel really, really good and you're ready just to get in there and go after your workout. So after years of doing this, you kind of find what works best for you too.
Yeah.
That's what I have found.
Yeah, and you want to be efficient with your time. If you're going in there and doing a warm-up that you saw someone else do, and they might be working, doing a corrective exercise for themselves on what they need, and you might not even need that, or your whatever it may be, and it's just not even helping you for your workout and optimizing that, then you're just sitting there doing nothing and it's fluff work. So yeah, it's definitely you want to make it efficient and individual. So here's just a couple examples that we're kind of showing you ideas that you can try, and they might be helpful for you.
And so I think everyone brings out the foam roller. I think everyone kind of warms up on the foam roller, even though there's not specific studies that this is everything. I personally just like it because I feel it just gets everything moving, range of motion and breaking up adhesions, inflammation a little bit.
The foam roller or recovery roller or the pipe you see people rolling on, and it's not necessarily the rolling that's what's helping. It can help with range of motion, just like she said.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it's gonna fix problems, right? You might actually need to go see a physical therapist, see a chiro, see some type of sports physician to get the real problem solved, or actual stretching or at-home work or different mobility. The foam roller or the rolling will be, again, for the range of motion and breaking up some inflammation, and it just feels good. So it feels good for her. She likes it. It's a preference for her. But it's not just necessarily the rolling part. It could be the flossing or,
stretching out your thoracic.
Your thoracic spine,
And then obviously, there's static stretches and dynamic, and obviously you don't want to be sitting there doing a static stretch for, 20 minutes here before you go into your workout, because honestly, you do want to be a little tight for your training session.
Yeah,
The time to do the static stretching is like after your workout or when you're home. That's when you need to be doing that.
Yeah, as far as static stretching goes, you can do some slight static stretching. I think it's fine. There's studies that shown that it decreases your strength output. So if you're, like she said, you kind of want to be a little bit tight. So if you just stretch your hamstrings and get nice and loose, you won't be as strong. And so, like she said, I think there is okay with doing a little bit of static stretching. Like you can definitely stretch your calves and help with that ankle mobility. So that'll be specific to a lower body day, stretching the calves in your warm up. That's fine. But yeah, your bigger static stretching should be after you train or the night before or whatever it may be. If you do some static stretching, a quad stretch or whatever it may be, which is fine, you can do some. I would just make sure you do some dynamic stuff after. You don't want to do static stretching and then go into your warm-up sets. You want to do some static stretching, some foam rolling, then get into something dynamic, which we'll talk about here in a second.
Yeah.
And then, so it's fine that you do some static stuff, but get into some dynamic, some body weight squats, whatever it may be, before getting into your warm-up sets.
Yeah, so you saw we stretched our calves, okay? We stretched out our calves. That was like a static stretch right there. And then what we did was we got into just a barbell type of warm-up here where I was doing, I
Barbell
did
complex.
a barbell complex, which kind of just gets the whole body warm, blood flowing. And yeah, I felt like really warm after I did that. So as you can
It's like
see,
the Simple Man's.
yeah, it was just doing some rows, then a RDL type of situation, right? And then I did a barbell back squat too. And yeah,
Yeah, with that barbell, the barbell complex is going to be right. It's just limited equipment. You just need that barbell, and you might be squatting and deadlifting that day or benching that day. So if you just want to do a little bit of light foam rolling on your T-spine or something like that, and maybe on your glutes a little bit, then go into the barbell complex. Like she said, you start with a barbell row, and then maybe you go into an RDL, and then you can go into an overhead press, and then you can go into a squat, and then a good morning, and next thing you know, everything's kind of warm and fired up, and you're ready to go into your warm-up sets without. And so that's like just basic, best bang for your buck. You don't have corrective exercises to do. You're not that injured. You just want to get into it and get efficient.
And then yeah, after that, for leg day, I love the little glute bands. So if you guys don't have one of those, Kyle and I might invent one of our own one day or something like that. We're thinking about it, but yeah, I mean that thing is awesome. So I just have the one by Brett Cruncher. It's called the Loop. And so I was working legs obviously this day, and so I just put the band up above my knee, and I do lateral band walks just to get the little burn, on the side of your glute right there. And then I did hip thrusts with the band, and then also I did some abduction with the band as well. And after that, I was ready to go right into my goblin squats.
Yeah, no, that abduction of your hips and getting blood to your glutes with that loop or resistance band. Mark Bell also makes one. I think he was the first one, the hip circle.
Yeah, the hip circle.
We've been using that since 2014.
Yeah.
So that hip circle, or Brett Contreras has one. I mean, everyone has those little loops, right?
I know, everyone makes
yeah,
one.
Just make sure that when you do those lateral walks, you're pushing off the right foot. So you're gonna
outside.
Yeah, you want to be pushing off the right foot and focus on and kind of I like to put my hand on the glute that I'm wanting to work, the side I'm wanting to work. You can use an abduction machine if you don't have the band. You can.
Oh yeah.
You don't have to do lateral band walks. You can just do abduction, just staying seated and having the loop around. And obviously, the lower you go on that band, so the higher it up will be easier. If you put it lower, closer to your knees, the band will be, it'll be more tension and more difficult. And even if you lean forward compared to leaning back, you can work with it as far as the band.
Especially if you have small glutes and you have a hard time feeling it when you work out, you gotta warm them up beforehand.
Yeah.
Or your quads are gonna take over, or your hamstrings, or if someone's quad dominant. So yeah, if you wanna grow your glutes, I definitely recommend warming up your glutes before you get into leg day.
Yeah, like even a new movement, right? Okay, I'm kind of dealing with an injury, I'm gonna move to the leg press or a hack squat, and I'm just starting this movement out, and my adductors, the inside of my leg, are so sore. Well, you probably should do more of a glute warm up before getting into those movements, especially a new movement, because you might like she said, it'll help you have them activated and use them in the movement still.
And okay, so we are all warmed up. Now what's really important is for your main lifts that you do some warm-up sets before you get into the working set.
That's key.
Okay? Why just, all right, so with my goblin squats, all right, I'm just gonna get right into the 70s. I'm just gonna pick up the 70s and I'm gonna get right into it. No, you still gotta do some like warm-up sets. You gotta work your way up. So what I do is, so say if I'm working with like the 70s, I will, maybe take out the 40s and do a couple reps with those, and then like the 50s, and then the 60s, 65, and then I will get into the 70s. Yeah. But yeah, you really want to make sure at least 3, at least do 3.
At least 2, yeah.
Yeah, you gotta do some warm-up sets with your main lifts. So, I do that with even like my upper body days, and even like before I get into lat pull downs too.
So the warm-up sets are again going to be preventing of injury and optimizing your performance again, and also just your nervous system can adapt really quickly, especially if you've been doing the movement a while. Your nervous system will be adapted, but then you can kind of get right back into it. And like she said, she knows she's working with a 70. So this is why warm-up sets are good. If it's a new movement, then you have to do warm-up sets or feeder sets to see what you're working with, to see how strong you are that day, or to see how strong you are within that movement. But if you have been doing that movement a while, or at least for 3 or 4 weeks or whatever it may be, you might be working with the 70s or 75s, so you have some goals of what you're going to hit your working sets. Maybe you have percentages you're working off of, or you're looking at what you did last week or prior, or what you did 6 months ago with that same movement. And 2 other things to think about with the warm-up sets is they might be different on your hypertrophy days or like a higher rep day compared to a strength day where the rep ranges are lower. So if the rep ranges are like 6 and below for your working sets, you might warm up a little bit differently, where you might just do like 6 to 8 reps that first warm-up set, or 10 reps, and then you move down to like 6, and then 3, and then 1, and you're just slowly increasing the weight based off the percentages off that working set. So you might work with 50% of your working set, and then 70% of your working set, then 85 or 90% of your workout.
And even get the load real quick too that you're going to be working with. Just do one of it.
Do 1 rep with
it. So the reason why I do this too is because, like with my technique too. So I get in there and I'm doing my goblin squat, and it just helps me making sure I got proper form too. Let me feel the movement again real quick. Let me like get in a good like flow of how I'm going to set up the movement, where I'm going to stand in the gym too. So that's why I do warm-up sets too, just to you know what I'm saying? Like I just want to like get the technique down real quick and make sure that I'm having proper form.
You can see how you're feeling that day too. I mean, whether you were like,
ooh, I'm feeling banged up.
I'm feeling terrible, or I'm on my menstrual cycle if you're a girl, and you're like, oh, I need to, take it easy today. Or, hey, I'm feeling really good today. Maybe I can push it past what I was initially thinking. So you can kind of figure that stuff out. I mean, if you aren't warm after your warm-up and after your warm-up sets, well, don't go into your working sets. Just do a few more warm-up sets. So it's just not this one number fits all. Some people can do 2. Some people need to do 4, 5, 6.
You should be feeling ready after your warm-up. Like that kind of gets me pumped up too. When I'm done with my warm-up sets, I'm like, all right, I'm ready to go. Like here we go. I'm ready to pick up those 70s, whatever the heck you're gonna be using, and I'm ready to get into it now. So yeah, I mean, I do this with hip thrusts too.
I would say your first 2 or 3 movements of the day, I would do pretty good amount of warm-up sets.
Definitely.
And then once you're kind of moving into your isolation stuff, you're probably already warm. You can maybe just do one warm-up set, maybe two, and before getting into your working sets. So yeah, again, I wanted to go back real quick and explain the difference between how you would do it on a strength day compared to a hypertrophy day. If the rep ranges are higher, again, you just don't want to burn out during your warm-up sets. You don't want to sit there and do 10, 15 reps for 3 warm-up sets. You want to slowly work up to what your working set will be. And your first warm-up set might be 10 reps of 50% of what your working set will be. And then you do less reps. It'll be 6 to 8 reps of what, 70% or whatever of your working set. So again, you want to work up to what you're going to do for the working set, and then you want to work the rep range down until you feel ready. So maybe I'll make we give examples for our clients at least on how to do those warm-up sets. But if you want to know more about that, just put a little comment below and I can explain it maybe with some numbers if you want.
Yeah, okay guys, that is the end of the video. I think we kind of hit everything. So yeah, if you want more videos like this of other topics you want Kyle and I to talk about, leave your questions down below and we'll answer them in another video like this. So, okay, bye.